Today at Home with Miss Joan, we're going to make some chicken and dressing, okay? It is a family favorite for us. In fact, we eat it all year long. Some people just have it on the holidays. And as we're approaching the holiday season, I'm thinking, whoo, I want a good bit of chicken dressing ready. And what I do is I get it ready and I freeze it and thaw it out the night before and cook it and everything's ready. I like to enjoy my company when they get here instead of running around making everything, taking all morning. But I wanted to talk to y'all first about the first thing I do in making chicken dressing is you gotta have your chicken ready, right? Okay, I believe if you'll see on the last week's video how we cooked a whole chicken in the crock pot and we made the broth, we canned the broth. Well, you can start by making your chicken dressing that way. You can cook a whole hen, they call it. Cover it with water and salt, a tablespoon, say, of salt. Let it cook, a long time till it falls apart. And use those pieces, see, to make your dressing and the broth to make your dressing. Well, our family likes white meat better. So what I do is I buy these things right here. The big chicken breast is a long pack. They may be like 7 big chicken breasts in here. And I do the same thing other than just cooking the whole hen since it has all the dark meat in it, is I put it in this big crock pot, slow cooker that I've got right here. Take all the pieces out, put it in here, cover it in water, of course, and salt the water, and let it cook till these pieces fall apart, okay? And then I can right then go from there to making my dressing. But I'm all about doing things ahead of time. So, all during the week or months, I go ahead and do this. And I do this next step. I freeze it. And then it's ready so I can have my chicken ready for any time we have a craving for chicken dressing. This is cooked chicken. I don't know if you can see it. I've done thawed this one out because I'm actually going to use it today. It's cooked in my broth. And those are white meat pieces of chicken, which is off of a pack, just like this right here, okay? And then I pulled out a second one too because I figure I'm going to need a lot of broth, okay? I also have my canned broth that I can use as a backup in case I need some more broth. But when you cook this whole pan here full, it makes a lot of broth. And usually it'll be enough to make a big pan of chicken dressing. So, oh dear, don't ever pour that good liquid off after you cook some chicken, okay? Like I said, these stay in my freezer and they say cooked chicken. So I know I'm not pulling out some raw chicken that's covered in water or something. And this is how I'm always ready to make any kind of cooked chicken dish. Let's move on now to the next process, because you see now how Miss Joan, 2 or 3 different ways that you get your chicken ready. Now we're moving over to the bread part, but I will tell this first of all. Miss Joan, I looked at your videos, and that was one of the first videos you made back when you started the channel. Yes, have you looked at it? It's so what? Foggy looking. Do y'all know what crazy thing happened to me and we didn't realize it for several videos? You know those little thin screen protectors that you can buy and you put it on the face of your cell phone and it helps the real glass stay protected and clean, and then you change them out and put another one on. They're real cheap to buy. Well, I kept wondering. We had company that whole Christmas. All my pictures had a haze over them. And it's like, what's wrong? My brother's here, everybody's gathered around. I got hazy pictures. Well, it was a good while before we realized that I had been filming my At Home with Miss Joan and making all my pictures. And that little film thing that covers your screen protector, I don't know how, but it had got on the back of the phone and was covering my camera on my phone. So one day, for some reason, I had to pull it out of that little holder. And it was like, look, there's my screensaver that I lost. How it got on the back of my phone, I'll never know. But when you look at that old chicken and dressing recipe, it's like, what kind of fog is she in? That's because we're filming through my phone with the phone screensaver right over the camera. I'm telling you what, we're country to the core, aren't we? Or idiots to the core, I don't know what you call it. But anyway, I hope this one's going to turn out clear because we checked. There's no screensaver on the back of the phone, all right? But anyway, moving on real quickly. I've got my broth now warming up now, getting good and hot. But another quick tip that I do it all year long. When I make homemade biscuits, that's on the channel, and we have a few left, I put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze it. Keep it all the time so I can pull these out, make breadcrumbs. You see, I've already made breadcrumbs out of these. So here's biscuit breadcrumbs, and then here's just the regular biscuits. Hadn't made it into crumbs yet, all right? And same way with my cornbread. If I cook Preacher some cornbread and we have a few pieces left, and I throw it in a bag and throw it in the freezer, so I can always have some good old cornbread crumbs ready for the dressing, ready for anything I want to make. Now, I meant to pull some out, but if you don't make biscuits, in my dressing, I use 3 parts cornbread, 1 part white bread or biscuit. If you don't have this, you can use your old hamburger and hot dog buns. I save them and freeze them and grind them up. I use my food processor and grind all this up, but you can just take the bag and just squish it real good and it'll make the crumbs right in the bag. Oh, loaf bread, you know, whatever you got, white bread, that could be this stuff, and then the straight cornbread. That's how that I can make chicken dressing really quick. Now, I don't want this pan to scare you to death. This is just what you call a stainless steel, a big, we call it a dish pan. I grew up calling it a dish pan. This is a big old bowl where that I can get under there with my big spoon and stir it up real good. Everything just gets stirred up real good. You can use any kind of bowl you got, okay? So don't I'm not ever going to make that much. The recipe that we're doing today is just I'll tell you for sure the dimensions, about this thick. So it's just a good serving. You can half it too if you don't have that many to eat with you. First thing I do is start off by crumbling up my cornbread. Well, you see that I've already got it done here. Now, I'm going to put 9 cups. Well, you can see I was real smart when I done this and froze it. I just stopped at the 9 cups and I knew this is enough right here for my dressing recipe, okay? So if you're wondering, this is 9 cups of crumbled cornbread. That's all in the world it is. My cornbread recipe's on my channel, but I bet you got a good one too. Real good one. All right. Now, my hands is good and clean. If you see any clumps in there, say there's one that didn't crumble up, just get him. Just get him. All right. There's our cornbread. Now, whatever amount you want to make, I do 3 parts cornbread to 1 part biscuit or white bread, okay? So somebody do the math on that. We put 9 cups of cornbread in here, and what is 1/3 of that? 3 cups. Is that right? I might have to holler back there and ask my math teacher. Well, I wasn't smart enough to do this in just 3 cups, so we got to measure it out, okay? This is crumbled up biscuits. That's all the world it is. 1. I love making this. I could make it every day. 2. 3. Okie doke. See, I got some clumps in there. And that's what this next part is just go through it and get your little clumps out that maybe you missed when you was crumbling it up, okay? Plus, this hot broth's going to help a lot of these little clumps dissolve. Okie doke. So when you learn to start saving all this stuff in your kitchen, just regular cooking, and put back your leftover biscuits, your leftover cornbread, and you cooked your chicken for something else, and you save the broth, and you don't have to go through the canning process like I did. Get you out a bowl and freeze it, okay? It'll add up, and you'll have plenty enough broth to just make dressing in just a few minutes. All right. Now we're going to add eggs. For me, I'm going to put 3 eggs in this. I've already cracked them and looked them. I have got a recipe where we use 24 cups of cornbread. It comes all the way up to top this bowl. Because one Thanksgiving, wasn't it, Jordan? Mission meals, we had it at church. And we served the community a chicken dressing meal. And she and we had the table. I don't remember how many it was. We may have made 8 big pans. I don't remember. It was a lot. We loved every minute of it. That's a special memory, is getting all that dressing made for mission meals. Okay, now I'm going to, if you got an onion, just chop you up one real fine, okay? Now, if you watch Miss Joan at home, Miss Joan Regger, you know she's got this little orange bowl. It's from the 70s, Tupperware. In fact, it's about to go out on me. There's a crack right there. But anyway, orange starts with the letter O, so I put my onions in the orange bowl. Because you ever put your onions in every bowl you got, and then every time you open up something else, your applesauce smells like onions and everything else. That's why I started just putting my onions in one bowl only. All right, now we can measure this if we want to, but I like a lot of onion in my dressing. I hope you do too. This is, see how I finely chopped it? I did all this in my food processor. I really use that thing. I'm going to say this is probably a heaping half a cup. What'd you say, Jordan? To get us a small onion. Now, I'm going to put the seasons that my mama put in it. Y'all know that I cook how she taught me. But I'll show you this. She always made the dressing. Always, always. And she just stirred it up, stirred it up. I said, Mama, we got to know what you put in that dressing. So she just called it off to me. Didn't give me no cups, measurements, nothing. Just said cornbread, loaf of bread, juice of chicken, onion, salt and pepper, poultry seeds. And she did say a teaspoon of sage. She had 2 eggs in her celery seed. And she greased the pan with butter. And that was it. Well, later on, when they come out with all the cream of chicken soup, she started putting a can of it in there. And I did that too. But I keep that because that's the day that I wrote off what Mama said went in the dressing. Now, mine's a little bit more detailed now. And it will be in the comment section. Not the comment section. What's that called? The word more. The more section that you look at that, it'll have it listed there, okay? Okay, so right now, we are going to start with our spices. I've told y'all before, I got this wire. It stays around my 1 teaspoon, so I can find it real fast. All right, I got 2 kinds of sage sitting out here, so you'll notice. This is called ground sage. See how fine it is? I mean, that is fine right there, like almost like salt. See this one right here? Called rub sage. It's what I call your rough cut sage. You can use either one of these in your dressing, okay? Because you're going to need a taste of it before you're finished with it because you don't want to put too much sage in it. But I'm going to start out with a good a good teaspoon here and shake it all around. Now, the other spice that I use is poultry seasoning. Now, you can buy these in the real containers, of course, but I like mine in these little jars and alphabetized up there in the kitchen, in the cabinet. Y'all know that. I'm going to redo my kitchen organizing video when we get time. That's poultry seasoning. Okay, and then Mother would put celery seed. Now right here, lots of people will take real celery, chop it up real fine, and they put onions in it, and chopped onions in it, and chopped celery. Well, I could do that if I wanted to. It'd be real good, and you can too. But I put celery seed because that's what Mother did. I can't shake it. So I'm getting me a level teaspoon, sprinkling it all around of celery seed. Now that is my spices that I'm really kind of stirring and I guess getting all the seasonings into my cornbread and biscuits, okay? It was poultry seasoning, sage, celery seed. Alrighty. Now, we may add a little sage or something when we taste it here in a minute. Okay, here is where the soup comes in. This is the regular can, 10.5 can that they sell of the cream of chicken soup. I'm going to add that in. It does seem to add a lot of flavor to it. Now, if I was making a pan any bigger than this one right here, I'd put 2 cans, okay? Or one of the big tall cans that they sell. This is the Great Value brand, but that cream of chicken soup. I've put that in here, okay? Now, I should have done melted my butter. Let me set up, though, while we've been waiting on the camera. Do y'all keep your butter sitting out? I keep it sitting out on the bar. You can real butter. You can't that fake stuff, margarine and stuff like that. Real butter, our ancestors, they kept it out all the time. Didn't even refrigerate it. Stayed creamy. So I'm just going to melt this so I can pour at least a half a stick in here. If it ain't blowing up, y'all hear that racket. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Well, I'm going to help y'all. Okay. This is 1/4 of a cup right here of melted butter. Now, I will show you this if I can find it. Yeah, I bought this at the Walmart. I love it. This is what I keep my butter out all the time on the bar. And it'll hold like 2 or 3 sticks down in there. And I love this thing. Take this wood lid off of it, throw it in the microwave if it's not melted enough, and it's just real, real handy. Now it comes time for the liquid. See how dry all that is? It's up to you how, I'm going to move this a little closer to the stove. Preacher made me this table. Isn't it nice? This tabletop. He's so handy like that. It's really helped with this show. Okay. My old mama, my old mama's. Let me say that again. My mama's dipper is a cup measure, so I like that part. Okay, here we go. Let's count this out. 1, 2, 3. See how it's soaking it up? I'm going to put in 7 and stop there and see if we need some more. How's that? I want y'all to have some good measurements. I hope you try this. Homemade, from scratch dressing. Now people make it out of turkey. Some people make ham broth dressing. They do a lot of stuff, okay? We always, even if we were serving a turkey, we had chicken dressing. That was Mama's preference. Of course, it turned out to be our preference because that's all we ever got. Okay, see that? Oh, I'm going to show you. See how that looks a little dry? I mean, it's pretty, but it's a little thick right now. I'm going to say it's going to need a couple more. I believe it's 9 is what I used to put in here. We'll see. Then we're going to stir this around. Bread now, see, is soaking up this juice. That's what it's doing. Now you can take this when you get through and divide it into small containers and say you got a small family. Just get some kind of plastic bowl with a good airtight lid and divvy it out. You know, divide it by 4 or whatever and have some chicken dressing anytime you want it. If it looks too dry, add you some more broth. If it looks too runny, crumble you up some more bread and put it in here. You can't mess this stuff up. I'll tell y'all what's the truth. The story always comes back to me in making this dressing. We beg our mama, me and my 2 brothers standing around the table, please give us some, please give us some. We wanted it raw. That's the best stuff right now. I could sit down and eat a whole cup of this. Those onions are so crunchy in there and good, and the taste of all of this together. She'd dip us off some in the bowl. We'd stand there and eat it. We'd ask for another one. She said, now y'all know, we got to have enough dressing to cook for the company. But it was so good raw. Y'all let me know if y'all eat it raw too growing up. Okay, now is the time when we need to taste it just to see if we think we got enough spices in it, okay? Oh, that's good. I know what I hadn't put in it is any salt. It needs some salt and pepper right now, I can tell. And I should have done that. I just shake a little bit in here. Okay, y'all. I buy these all the time. It's these Rubbermaid bowls. You see me use them all the time with these red lids. This holds 13 cups of dressing. That's how much this made right here because I've made it so many times, okay? And that's how much this pan will cook. So what I do is, if I'm going to freeze it and cook ahead of time, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to write 13 cups of raw dressing. It's usually what I put across here on the tape. And I freeze it. I set it out the night before. I'm going to have a big to-do and let it thaw out. And you can put it in what I call the hottest part of the refrigerator and let it thaw out. And when it thaws out, then I pour it over into here in a well-seasoned pan. But today we're going to go ahead and cook this so y'all will have a finished product, okay? But this is what I do all the time. I might have 3 or 4 of these in the freezer at a time, ready for company. But today, if you're going to make it, you need it tonight for supper or for your party, then I'm going to spray my pan with non-stick spray. Oh yeah, I might have told you wrong to start with. This right here is 11 by 15 pan. 11 by 15. And so you can tell that it's, what is that, Jordan? Is that 3 inches thick? 2.5 inches thick?
2.5.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to also, just because Mama did, she didn't have that spray back then. Okay. She poured a little butter at the bottom of it. Hang it all around. Sloshing it everywhere, Miss Joan. There we go. Now, it's ready. Not everybody likes meat in there. Some of them, this is where they put the chunks of meat. I'm going to have to turn it around. I'm sorry, but Lefty's got to get it out of the pan. Woo! See how that's a pan full? Right there. I told you. We was making up 11 by 15 pan. Now, you can bake it right here, but I have to do it how Mother did it. Remember I told you that we cooked our chicken in our broth, and then we freeze it with our broth on it. Well, I've used the broth, see, in this chicken, in the dressing. But I take the pretty pieces of white meat. She'd always say, now, John, I'm just here. Pick the prettiest. She fanned them out so it wouldn't just be a big hunk of chicken. And put it like that. To me, I don't know. I guess because I miss her so bad. She was just doing it with all the love in her heart in the world. We're so blessed. We had the best mama. A lot of people don't have mama. Maybe their mama passed on early. I hope that I'm helping y'all. I do. That's my mission, is to help y'all. Because I was blessed to have somebody teach me all of this. But you see how I'm doing. It's just about where if you took out a serving, they'd get a piece of chicken. If you took out a serving, they'd get a piece of chicken. And if they don't like chicken, they can just rake it on back. That's how we did. But here's another one of them big pieces of chicken. Now, you saw I cooked that whole pack. Oh, I might use 2 big of them chicken breasts in here, or 3, something like that, on the top of this. But anyway. And you can make it as small. Some people shred it and they cover the whole top with shredded chicken. I'm just showing you this is how I was raised. Mother just put it every which way right here. And she'd push it down in it. She said, John, that keeps it real moist. I said, okay. I didn't know that she was teaching me something that was going to go on for years and years. And, oh, my daughter can turn around twice and get chicken dressed in the oven. So it's amazing how your family recipes just keep going on, ain't it, from generation to generation. All right, we got Miss Jones' whole pan of chicken dressing right here. Wasn't too long. Last time I had my family over here, I did 2 of these pans. We ate it all. Anyway, but if I can find my celery seed, we got our dressing in here. We got our good chicken on the top, fixed where if you don't like chicken, you can push it back. And we take celery seed, sprinkle it on the top, because that's how Mother did it, okay? She would just see how the meat's catching those little seeds. Whoops. Do you know I'm doing this right-handed? What's the world's wrong with me? We'll get this stuff done with this left hand. Look at there. All right, you may not like celery seed, just leave it off, okay? Okay, folks. You can do this. You can make this chicken dressing. We're going to put it in the oven on 350 degrees. And usually, this size dish, it'll bake for about an hour. So, I'll get back with you. We're going to make the gravy topping. Mama called it giblet gravy. There's no giblet in this. But anyway, we're going to make the gravy goes on the top. And Preacher loves cranberry sauce. We'll have to serve it with some cranberry sauce. Okay, y'all. My chicken and dressing is done. I've got some cranberry sauce set out, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to whip us up some, well, it's called giblet gravy, but some gravy for our dressing, okay? I'm going to take one, we used one in our dressing, 1 small can of cream of chicken soup, all right? I'm going to use one in my gravy. This is just the easiest little gravy that you'll ever want to make. But a lot of people like to dip out their chicken dressing and put just a little bit of gravy on the top, okay? So I guess you call this the cheap way to make gravy. That's just a pure can of cream of chicken soup. I've got my broth getting hot back here in this small boiler. I'm going to start out by putting I'm spilling it, but I'm going to put a half a can of my chicken broth. And the reason I'm putting it in the can instead of a measuring cup is I'm going to get all the gooey that's left in the cream of chicken soup can. Just a little, nothing but a can of cream of chicken soup and some of my chicken broth. And I'm just whipping it up to get the lumps out. Now, if you had a boiled egg, the old timers, they would chop a boiled egg very, very fine. And maybe even just sprinkle this small amount right here, just about half of a boiled egg in it. I've just about quit doing that. I just do the cream of chicken soup and my broth. And I cut chicken up. You remember that white chicken meat that we cooked earlier and we put some on top of our dressing? Well, I chip it up real fine. I mean really, really small with my kitchen scissors. See it going in there? You know what that's going to do? It's going to give it that homemade look to this bought can of chicken soup. But see, used to they'd take the broth and they'd thicken it up with some cornstarch or some flour and put some chicken seasonings in it, like a bouillon cube or something like that, and thicken it up real thick, and that make the gravy. But this is just a quick way to make gravy by using cream of chicken soup because it's already thick. And we're actually thinning it down with the broth. Now, if you're in a pinch and you don't have any leftover broth, you've used it all, then just put you some water in there. But it looks like I'm going to use the whole half the can to get it to the consistency that we like here. Now look at it. It's just real yellow looking, the color of the soup. I'm going to add just a few more of my little chicken pieces. That's just how Mama done it. That's just how I'm doing it. It's very, I mean little. You can hardly even see them. But they're in there. And then she did her trick of reaching for the celery seed and sprinkling it in there. Watch how it changes it. Just a little hand sprinkling. Now you can use 2 or 3 cans. Ever what a big crowd you're feeding? Right now I just want to show you just one little mix up of it. I may have to add to mine. So we got a big pan of dressing over there. Alright, that's it. Okay, wasn't that hard? Cream of chicken soup. If you want to put a little chopped boiled egg in it, I didn't. I chopped up my chicken really, really fine, just a few pieces of it, and I stirred it up. And then you can either use celery seed, or if you don't have any celery seed, you can use some black pepper. Okay? That is it. It makes the most wonderful gravy to put over your dressing. I'm going to pour it here in my gravy bowl, or my gravy pitcher. Woo-wee, look at that. Yum, yum. Here's my gravy. Of course, preacher can't eat dressing, I don't reckon, without cranberry sauce, and that's just the bought jellied cranberry sauce. And then here is my homemade chicken dressing. If when you took your dressing out and you think, oh, my chicken looks a little brown on the top or whatever, and you don't want it that crispy, just take you some of your leftover broth on a butter, I don't know what you call that, a little spreader. And I'm just kind of juicing up my chicken just a little bit with nothing but just pure chicken broth. You don't have to do that. Depends on how dry it got in the cooking process. Don't that look good? Here it is. We fix to dig into it. This is going to be our Sunday lunch. Have you ever seen such a pile of dressing? I'm going to dip down in it. I want you to see how moist it is, okay? I'm coming up. Got my chicken on the top. Woo, that's hot. See there how moist it is? I like the little bit of crunchy on the end. That's just me. I'll put it right here. How's that? Woo, see there? That's not dry at all. We don't like ours like dried out. Preacher gonna have one more fit over this, ain't he? I'm gonna try to spin this around so y'all can see how it looks in the dish, okay? Let me get this forward. See how moist that is? Woo-wee. What we're serving it with today is my Asian slaw. And that recipe's on the channel. You'll just have to look it up. And my preacher's homegrown green beans. And of course, he's got to have that cranberry sauce. And then I'm going to take this dressing. And everybody usually just puts this. Watch. Woo-wee, look at that. Now look, they'll think you slaved all day long making this gravy. And you did. And you see how easy it is. Just get it a good consistency. Look at here. Oh my goodness. Look at here. We're having this big Sunday dinner, but I wanted to get this out to y'all because I know the holidays are coming and many of you are saying, I can't make the dressing. Look, you follow this recipe, you show up at the family gathering this year and say, I made the dressing this year, and they're gonna love it, okay? I so enjoyed making this for y'all. I love you right here from at home with Miss Joan, man. I ought to hope you get to see Preacher's face when he digs into this dressing. Think I'll just beat him to it. Oh, seasoned just right. At home with Miss Joan, would you like? You know, whether you like it or not, okay? At home with Miss Joan, please subscribe. Sure does help this old girl's channel grow. Won't you share with friends and family? You know, like your mom and them, okay? Comment right here and you'll hear back from me. You know, preacher, get back with you, my daughter, me, somebody will right here from At Home with Miss